Hello, folks. This is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on June 2nd, 2018. If you'd like to play my game, Decoding the Powerball, to help assist you in picking your own numbers, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 17, 23, 26, 46, and 68. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers. Okay, when you divide that by 5 different colors, that comes out to 13.8. Okay, so my goal is to have each color represent at least 13 or 14 numbers. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 15 red numbers, 13 orange, 12 green, 13 blue, and 16 purple. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to the right is 232. This represents how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings. Okay, so out of this 232 drawings, 121 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 83 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 22 drawings have come up a 2-color combination. Okay, and only 7 times out of 232 drawings have all 5 colors come up together. And never has it been just one color. Okay, so what I do here is I try to correctly guess what this next number will be. Okay, so more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, but the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so again, there's 69 white ball numbers. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners. So that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me do that, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess what color won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no red numbers will be coming up. And the reason why I'm going to pick that is because a red number has come up in the last 5 drawings here. Okay, and before that, red had a streak of 9 drawings. Okay, so I just kind of think that it's due to miss. Okay, so again, my guess is that no red numbers will be coming up. Okay, so we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, okay? So you may look at this and say, no, I don't think any green numbers are going to come up, or any purple or whatnot, okay? So again, we're all going to look at this differently, but for me, I think that no red numbers are going to come up. So again, I'm going to eliminate these red numbers off of the game card. Okay, so to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no red numbers to it. Okay, so when I block out a number like this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the Power Play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these red numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these red numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, and how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number. Okay, and over here to the right are the numbers that just came up in the drawing. Again, it was a 17, 23, 26, 46, and 68. Okay, so that comes out to be a 4-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see the whole card and see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so what you're going to see is that there's 7 groups here total. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9. Okay, and then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay, so again, for 7 groups total. Okay, so this group number 1 has 9 numbers, and the other 6 groups here have 10 numbers. Okay, so that's how it's divided up. All right, so what this big square is right here, this is good for 5 drawings. Okay, and why I break it down into 5, I do it for a couple reasons. And one is when I go back into the history of the drawings, it's just easier to count going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay, but the other reason is if there's a lot of hits within this group of numbers for this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers. Okay, so I'm going to pick that no 50 numbers will be coming up. Okay, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, and we're all going to have our own little guesses here. Okay, but since this 50 numbers have come up in the last 10 drawings here, okay, actually it missed the last 2, but I just think that it's going to keep on missing for a couple because it hit so many times down here. Okay, so I just think it's going to cool off, and I just don't believe that any 50 numbers will be coming up. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate the 50 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm just going to blow this thing back up. Okay, so another way that I could use this is I could just highlight one number, like the 17, okay, and I could go down through and see what the history of the colors are, okay? So if it hasn't been a certain color, like if it hasn't been blue, when it hits that blue area, maybe I'll consider picking that 17 just because it hasn't been blue in a long time, okay? Another way I use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups it's going to hit. Okay, so for the majority of the time, it's either a 3 or 4 group, okay, hit. Once in a while, 5 groups will hit, and once in a blue moon, 2 hits. 2 groups will hit. Okay, so I never seen just one hit. Okay, I never seen just one group, like all 60 numbers come up. Okay, I haven't seen that happen yet. I'm sure it will at some point. Okay. But for the majority of the time, it just comes up either a 3 or a 4. Okay, so again, I'm not sure what I'm going to go with for right now, but the point is that I want to eliminate the 50 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card, and I'm going to scroll to the right, again, to speed things up. Oops. Okay, so this is what the game card looks like so far. Again, with no red numbers from the color code, and now no 50 numbers from the individual numbers. Okay, so if I'm correct with my guesses here, okay, my bets, if these blocked out numbers don't come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I divided all the numbers into 4 different groups, and I put colors to these groups. Okay, so when the 5 white winning Powerball numbers come up, I record where they land within these groups down here in the stats. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage. And again, the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 17, 23, 26, 46, and 68. Okay, so when I go back here, the 17 and the 26 were in this red area. Okay, so when that happens, I come down here to the red and I record a number 2. Okay, because and that 2 represents the 17 and the 26. Okay, so over here in the blue, you can see that there was one number, and that's 23 that came up. Okay, and in the orange area, it was the 68 right here. Okay, and in the green area, it was the 46. Okay, so you can see that number 1 represents the 46. Okay, so when all 4 color groups come up like that, I call that a row. Okay, so when I go back through the history of things, I can see where the rows have come. So if there's a big gap like right here, then I expect a row to be coming up. Okay, so if I think a row will be happening, then when I pick what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want it to represent all 4 of these groups. Okay, now I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, and so this is option card number 2. Okay, and I want to point out how there's a 0 right here in this blue area. Okay, and that means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this blue area here. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these blue numbers were going to come up in the last drawing, I could have eliminated all these blue numbers and really gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards, and that's to give me as many options as possible to guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so my first guess here is going to be option card number 4, no orange numbers. And the reason why I'm picking this one, okay, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, but the reason why I'm picking this one is because one of these orange numbers have come up in the last 24 drawings. Okay, so the record for all 15 option cards is 33. But when it hits the 20s like this, I just have to believe that it's due to miss at any time. Okay, so I'm going to guess that none of these orange numbers will be coming up. So I'm going to eliminate them through the game card. Okay, so this group 1 is just a format where I divide groups of numbers. Okay, so all I'm doing here is dividing groups of numbers and trying to correctly guess whether they're going to come up or not come up in the drawing. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the game card, and I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Again, with no red numbers from the color code, no 50 numbers from the individual numbers, and now no orange numbers from option card number 4 in group 1. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct guesses here and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1. I got a couple of picks here, and my next guess is going to be option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 7, and the reason why I'm picking this one, and again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, but whenever there's a couple of rows like this, okay, usually there's a miss, okay, somewhere, either one of these 4 will have a 0 to it, okay? And because the green has 15 drawings in a row where there's been a hit, I just kind of think that this one's the one that's going to have the 0 to it, okay? So I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up in the drawing, so I want to get rid of them. And again, I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card here. As soon as my computer lets me. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And again, this is option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, my computer's lagging a little bit today. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can see underneath, I wrote down group 1, option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so all those green numbers are gone now for the game card. All right, so I'm going to go back to group 1, and my next pick is going to be option card number 8, no red numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 8, and the reason why I'm picking this one, and again, we're all going to look at this differently, but you can see that there's a bunch of single zeros here. Okay, so every once in a while they double up or even triple up. Okay, so I think that that's going to happen here with this red area. I think there's going to be another 0 right here. Okay, so if that happens, that means that none of these red numbers will be coming up, hopefully. Okay, so again, I don't think any of these red numbers will be coming up in the drawing, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right. And again, you can read underneath group 1, option card number 8, no red numbers, and all those red numbers are gone here on the game card now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1 for one more pick, and that's option card number 9, no green numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 9, and the reason why I'm picking this one here is because you can see that this is a single red mark. Okay, so when I have a single red mark like that, I put a 1 next to it here. Okay, so these 1s come up a lot. Okay, so as you look at this, you can see that here's a couple of 1s over here. Here's a 1 right here. Whoops. Okay, there's one over here. Okay, so 1s come up a lot. Okay, and as I go through this green area here, you can see that a 1 hasn't come up in a long time here, all the way down here. Okay, so I just think that that's due to happen here with this green area. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 1 here, which means that I think there's going to be a 0 right here, which means that I don't believe that any of these green numbers will be coming up in the drawing. So again, I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so as I come back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right, and you can see the this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, with those no green numbers to it. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct guesses and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so again, there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 3 of these groups will not be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it, and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this, okay, I have 15 of these option cards as well, and they all have the same colors to it as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, it's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so for this option card number 2, You can see that the red numbers go from left to right, 1 to the 66. And over here on option card number 1, you can see that the red numbers go from the 1 down to the 57. Okay, so they're all just a little bit different, okay, but they all have the same colors to them. Okay, so how I use this is I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. Okay, so this is the red area here. Okay, so this is where I keep the stats. And if you see a 0 here, then that means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so you can see this 2, and that means 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area here. Okay, so I like to keep track of every 5 drawings. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because it shows me a majority of things. Okay, so you can see that there's 3 zeros out of this 5 drawings. Okay, so when that happens, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so down here, the next one, you can see that there's 3 hits to it. Okay, so when that happens, the majority is hits, so I color the background red for hot. Okay, so as I go down through the history of things, okay, because the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay hot forever, and I know that nothing can stay cold forever. Okay, so as I go down through, if something gets really, really hot, then I know that eventually it's going to turn cold. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no purple numbers are going to come up. Okay, so this is the purple area right here. I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so as I head back up through, okay, here's the purple numbers. Okay, and again, that represents these purple numbers right here on the card. All right, so again, as I go down through the history of things, you can see things that there was like 50-50 hot and cold, but then it got wicked, wicked hot here, okay? And as I keep on going, it still got hot, so now I just think that it's going to cool off, okay? So again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here, okay? Which means that I don't believe that any of these purple numbers will be coming up in the drawing. So again, I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, so I need to go back to 90%. Okay, so you can read underneath group 2, option card number 1, no purple numbers, and you can see that there's no purple numbers here anymore. Okay, so hopefully none of these numbers will come up. Okay, and I'm going to go to my next pick, and that's option card number 3, no red numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so the reason why I made so many is because I want as many options as possible to hopefully pick correctly here. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up. Okay, so here's the stats for the red. So as I head down through, you can see that things got really, really hot here. Okay, and now I think they're going to go on a cool down. Okay, so I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Again, means that I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the left now. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so again, group 2, option card number 3, no red numbers, and you can see that there's no red numbers here at all. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for another pick, and that's option card number 4, no yellow numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the yellow, and as I head down through, you can see that things got really, really hot, and now I think it's going to go on a cool down here. Okay, so I expect to see a lot of blue within these next 20-30 drawings here. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these yellow numbers are going to come up in the drawing, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the left. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so as I go back to the last one here, the only one left is the 27. Okay, so as I head over, you can see that 27's gone now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, and I have 2 more picks. Okay, and my next one is option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 7. Here's the stats for the green, and as I head down through, you can see that thing started off really, really hot, kind of stayed hot, and now I think it's ready for a cool down. So I think that this is going to be a 0 right here, okay? Which means, again, I don't believe that any of these green numbers will be coming up, okay? So again, I want to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the left. Okay, so you can see option card number 7, no green numbers, and the only one that was on there was the 60, and that's gone now. Okay, so I got one more pick, and that's option card number 11, no orange numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so here's option card number 11. Here's the orange area, and as I head down through, you can see that things got really, really hot here, okay? And now I'm expecting a cool down, okay? So I think there's going to be a 0 right here, okay? Which means I don't believe that any of these orange numbers are going to come up. Okay, so I think the only one left is the 33, okay? So again, I don't believe any of these orange numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so you can see that 33 is right here, and I'm going to scroll down. Okay, and you can see that the 33 is gone. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do as far as reducing the numbers. Okay, so again, I started off with 69 white ball numbers. Okay, and if I made all the correct picks, then I got 3 numbers here, 2 more here for 5, and 3 for 8. So I reduced the numbers down to 8, okay, from 69 to 8. So again, if these blocked numbers, these blocked out numbers, if they don't come up in the drawing, then the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these numbers, colored numbers, still left on the game card. Okay, so to really pinpoint what these numbers I think are going to come up, I'm going to turn to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so I like to keep track of that and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so a couple years ago, I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers like this, okay? And the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed within these numbers still left on my game card, okay? I only correctly guessed 2 numbers that day, okay? And this is where I came up with the 50-50 picks to help me, if I ever do that again where I correctly guess what the numbers won't be coming up, then I want to have a much better guess at what the 5 numbers will be that actually come up. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the 50-50 picks. Okay, so how this works is this 277, this represents the drawings that I kept track of so far. Okay, and this goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers. Okay, so out of this 277, 139 numbers have been the majority of odd numbers. 138 have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so I just think that that's kind of amazing in itself that it's so close like this out of so many drawings. Okay, so how I use this is, again, I like to break things down into 5 because it shows me a majority. Okay, so out of this 5 drawings from here to here, the majority was even numbers, 3 drawings to 2. Okay, so I could go back in the history and see what that was for the 5 drawings. Okay, and now I try to correctly guess what this next 5 will be. Okay, so I just kind of think that it's going to be, I think that this is going to be another even number here. Okay, so I think the majority will be evens for this drawing. And I'm going to move over to the next one here. And the next one is high and low. The blue numbers represent low numbers. The red number represent high numbers. Okay, so out of this, 135 drawings have been the majority of high numbers, 142 low numbers. Okay, and my guess is that the majority is going to be high numbers here. Okay, so when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of them to represent these red numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one, and this is left and right. And again, this one's really close. 138 drawings, majority to the left side, and 139 majority to the right side. Okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, so I'm going to leave that alone. I don't have to pick at every single one of them. Okay, and the next one I have is this red and blue area. Okay, so the red has 159 drawings, majority to the red area, and 118 to the blue. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here either, so I'm not going to pick at it. Okay, so the last thing I have here is this is for the Powerball itself. Okay, this is for that red number. Okay, so the red number last drawing was the 20. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers and there's 26 red ball numbers. Okay, so basically what I did with this is I divided the numbers into 2. Okay, so 1 to 13 would be low numbers. So if you see a blue number, then that means it's low. If you see a red number, then that means it's high. Okay, so over in this column here, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. If you see a blue number, then that means it's evens. Okay, so for me, I just kind of like to look at the colors. Okay, so if I see a streak of red, I know eventually it's going to be blue. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing, I think this column is going to be blue. And I think that this column is going to be blue as well. Okay, so I think the Powerball number will be a low, even number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the right again. And again, the 50-50 picks, the ones that I'm going to pick is I think there's going to be more even numbers than odd, and I think there's going to be more numbers to the high side than the low side. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. Strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so here in group 2, again, I have 15 of these option cards, and they all have the same colors to them as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, so I keep track of those. All right, so in other words, there's 15 red areas, there's 15 blue areas, 15 orange areas. Okay, so I like to keep track of those, and I call that the group 2 overview. Okay. So I'm going to go to the Group 2 overview right now. Okay, so this is what I call the Group 2 overview here. So again, there's 15 option cards. So for this red area here, in the last drawing, there was 5 hits and 10 misses amongst these 15 option cards here. Okay, so either this was a miss or a hit. There was only 5 hits, and 10 of these option cards had zeros to them in these red areas here. Okay, so as I go back to the Group 2 overview, okay, the magic number here is 8. Okay, so it's right in the middle of 15. Okay, so if there's 8 or more misses, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, if there's 8 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. Okay, so here's another thing where I just have to look at the colors and try to correctly guess what color it's going to be. Okay, so I think that this brown area is going to have a lot of red to it. Okay, so I'm expecting a lot of hits, at least 8 or more hits within those 15 option cards in the brown area. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll over to the right, and you can see lots of hits among the brown areas of Group 2. Okay, so how this works is this represents option card number 1. Okay, actually I should have 38 here as well. Okay, so as I go back to the Group 2 here, option card number 1, the brown area, you can see that it runs from the 6 down to the 62. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, I look to see what's left on the game card, and you can see it's the 14 and the 38. Okay, so I'll do one more for you. Okay, and we'll go to option card number 2. In the brown area, it runs from the 41 to the 48. So when you go to the game card, the 41 to the 48, you can see what's left is the 42, the 44, and the 47. Okay, so I wrote that over here, 42, 44, 47 for that option card number 2. Okay, so for all 15 option cards, these are the numbers that I came up with here. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. The last strategy, strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so as I scroll over to the right, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 2, 14, 38, 42, and 47. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, that will give me 11 hits, 4 misses in that Group 2 option card in the overview. Okay, so as I go back to the overview again, I think that this is going to be an 11, and this a 4. Okay, so I think it's going to be, well, I know it's going to be red if that happens. So to give you a visual, this is what I think it's going to look like. Okay, so as I go back to the game card, again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 2, 14, 38, 42, and 47. Okay, so when it came to the 50-50 picks, again, I thought there was going to be more even numbers than odd numbers. So you can see that the 2, 14, 38, and 42 will make that happen for me. Okay, and I thought that there would be more high numbers than low numbers. So you can see that the 38, 42, and 47 are all to this high side. Okay, so again, that's how I use my game. We're all going to look at this differently, so we're all going to come up with different results. Okay, again, it's just a fun way to pick your numbers. Okay, so again, if you're interested in using my game to assist you in picking your own numbers, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/decoding the Powerball. And if you'd like to send me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, folks, I appreciate you watching. If you like the content of my channel, then please subscribe. And as always, I like to wish you the best of luck with your picks.